had a sister named Mary who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to what he was saying. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks. So she came to Jesus and asked, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her then to help me." But the Lord answered her, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her." The Gospel of Christ.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Christ, you light our path. And even as we prepare to open your word, I want to add a prayer for Kat today, who lost her mom and said goodbye to her and buried her this week. Kat, we surround you with our love and our prayers, and her mother, Ruth, welcomed into paradise. Amen. Where's Kat? In Colossians, Paul speaks of Christ as the one who comes to reconcile us to God and each other and all creation. Reconciling as well in the gospel happens further and will be our focus today. Reconciling our work and service with our need for play and rest and being still in God's presence. An activist whose pace of life was absolutely overtaking her, and she said she was about to be lost even in good works if she did not replenish herself. Gathered with people for silent prayer on Burnaby Mountain on the site of the Trans Mountain Pipeline Project. And in this way, she said, she got grounded again in her spirit. How do you replenish your spirit? This summer, I have been blessed to spend more time with my daughter, which replenishes my spirit. Collecting, which is her passion recently, beach glass on Lake Huron shores. Hiking and swimming, sitting in happy contemplation or animated conversation in her whimsical garden, observing the progress of various herbs, flowers, vegetables, and little critters. Finding in nature walks and simple tasks many sacred spaces that invite us to simply listen and be present to our surroundings and how they speak to our inner landscape and lives. In today's gospel, Jesus is urging us to find a place that invites listening. Be there and sit. Sit at his feet, rest by his word, and kneel in his church. The beloved Jesus asks no more than that you and I sit near wherever we are and be open to hear and let what we hear and see and feel inform our thoughts, shape our attitudes, our prayers, our actions, and calm and center us. We need times when we stop rushing and listen. And the story of Martha and Mary reminds us, as does Ecclesiastes chapter 8, that there is a season for every purpose under heaven. Time to speak, a time to listen. Time to be neighborly, a time to be in solitude. Time to read the Bible, and yes, time to read the car manual. Time to be a good Samaritan and reach out. And a time to refrain from reaching out and simply sit at the place or the feet of Jesus. Luke intentionally, if you remember what the story was, do you remember last week the gospel was? The Good Samaritan. And that was intentionally, that celebrates a lot of active service and caring of that traveler. And right after it is Martha and Mary, where we are told that the doing is really too much and the sitting and being is rewarded. So what are we to make of all of that? I think we must make of it exactly what it is. Life with Christ is rarely an either-or kind of life. It's more often a both and, or rather it is a flowing between the various manifestations of our faith. To say both and might sound to you as though we must do everything all the time. The doing and the being. When today's story specifically challenges that idea. We're human and generally can only do one thing at a time if we want to do it well. But that's not the way we live, is it? We watch TV while eating a family meal. I'll confess I sometimes have my meal in the car while I'm trying. We talk on the phone while working on the computer. We sit in a meeting and we make lists of what we're going to need to do after the meeting. I once, and you may have even bigger stories than this, I'd like to hear them. I passed a car on the 401. The driver was reading a paperback book, open on the steering wheel, drinking coffee, and driving, hopefully safely at 120 miles an hour. Now that's triple tasking. So how do we find balance and reconcile within ourselves what the moment needs of us when the temptation is to scatter valuable time and energy in multiple directions? Jesus gives us pause to ponder that a moment usually requires one thing of us. Now in this cartoon, the cartoonist portrays a man who says, "Oh my goodness, these are so busy times. I have so many things to do. I don't know, what should I do first?" So what does he do after a pause? First, I should Twitter about this. Do you get the irony? Martha's not the only one who is distracted by many things. We often, when we're overwhelmed, add rather than edit our day. And you know what it's like when you're double or triple tasking on the phone or computer, your full attention is in neither place. When the children are getting home from school and want to be with you, and know you have to start cooking the evening meal and the laundry is so backed up, you have to do a couple of loads or nobody will have clean socks the next day. You will probably not have enough attention to go around. And again, the way Luke arranges these stories, they appear to strike some kind of balance for us. A man walking down the road from Jerusalem to Jericho must make a decision whether to contribute on his way toward whatever business he had there, or to stop and help. Proposition would cost him time and money. Yet, interesting, it does not appear last week when we have the story as though he struggled with his decision about whether or not to help. He simply did what had to be done. He broke away from a present agenda because I suspect he had other times stopped to listen to God. And so in this moment, it was clear what the moment required of him. Now Martha too listens to God, and she's a unique woman in being identified in the Bible as one to whom Jesus, unheard of, accepts an invitation to her home, to her hospitality, which is held as one of the highest forms of giving in the ancient world. Yet even Martha, dearest friend of Jesus, homeowner and host, in this moment, in serving, struggles with what to do. There are competing interests in her. Should she care for the needs of others or attend the needs of her own soul? It appears that she is used to taking care of others, and we can assume was generous in caregiving at the expense of her own self-care and needs. And so the problem with making caregiving our only way of life is that we stop listening for the voice of God. It is easier to do than it is to be still, even for a few moments. And so we just keep moving. Martha assumed that Mary was going to help her with the preparations, perhaps fix the drinks, get out the appetizers, set the table, and the like. Instead, she just sits there listening to Jesus. And of course, she gets frustrated. Perhaps she's angry that Mary isn't helping. Perhaps it's that she would prefer to be sitting where Mary is, listening to Jesus. Anyway, she starts banging the pots and pans around. We all know it. We might have done it. She starts muttering under her breath, and she makes little and not so little hints towards her sister, all the time getting more frustrated. And then, of course, she boils over. Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her then to help me. Now, given the Good Samaritan, I imagine Jesus might have said, "That's fair, Mary. Go and help your sister, and then I will be with both of you." He figured out what was going on, but he wants to make a point about what is necessary in this moment. It's not a point of judgment. It's a false interpretation of this parable, that one thing, serving, is less worthy than being still and listening. They are both part of discipleship. Maybe we, like Martha, have forgotten that we have choices to make. She seems to assume that all the work must be done before there is any sitting and listening. You and I understand that sometimes we regret the choices we make, and hindsight is good. And maybe she was also confused by Jesus turning protocol upside down. It was a woman's place to serve men, and Jesus is indeed turning this upside down. Of course, a woman has the right to sit and listen. How could it be otherwise in God's kingdom? Martha and Mary are given an equal place at the feet of Jesus. And Jesus is tender to Martha and to us. He loves her hospitality, and we do too. When you're tired, you're invited to someone's home and they offer you an easy chair, a glass of lemonade, or a craft beer on a hot day. Music and food, kindness, this is grace. This is part of the way we serve. And also sometimes the moment calls for us to let some of the work wait. Maybe you haven't given yourself permission to sit and listen in a very long time. Do you know what that feels like and how it replenishes you? I know many times in the church when we have a guest speaker and we have a dinner, and sometimes I want so badly to tell the people in the kitchen, look, wait, we'll all get in there at the end so you don't miss as well what our speaker is saying. Sometimes on a hot heat wave like we've just had, you wanted to catch up with a friend you've invited to dinner and realize how good it is to decide we could just order pizza or have some fresh garden tomatoes, cob and corn, and a slice of ham. No fuss, no muss. More time to be still at the feet of your friend. So I guess Jesus is giving us permission to order that pizza without guilt. Maybe not all the time. But if it helps us to reconnect with the people we love, go for it. Allow yourself to make decisions about what is right for you, about what will remind you of the important things. Allow yourself to do the things that take care of others and also take care of yourself. Create sacred spaces and places that refresh, restore, and balance you. In Colossians, we hear Paul say that the good work of Jesus, again, was to reconcile us to God and each other and to ourselves, so that we are not warring fractions within us or between us. How hard is the work? We know it when we look at our countries and the world, is the work of reconciliation when there are long histories of conflict, or even in our own country with indigenous peoples. If we don't listen to each other and meet each other in still places, peace is precarious. Faithfulness to God requires that we have a balance of loving others and loving God. Kathleen Norris says that her times of deepest spiritual awareness are not only prayer, but doing laundry, baking bread, and walking. She's integrated busyness and calm. She writes, we want life to have meaning, fulfillment, healing, joy. But our paradox is that we find these things by starting where we are, not where we wish we were. We must look for blessings to come from unlikely everyday places. Martha's hospitality was needed and valuable. She likely got a lot of joy in preparing her vegetables and her favorite meals. And she lost that joy in her distractions and her worries and being unfocused. It could be that the stew could have simmered without being checked every second. But we know how we get wound up sometimes more and more, and we just can't stop and pause and enjoy where we are. There are times we must simply recognize we need to go back to the Word that Jesus is giving us and sit at His feet. Do you identify with Mary or Martha, or both? Are you distracted by many things? Lloyd Archer experience explains how important it is to have focus. He says, and I quote, "It was the first rain of the season, and my windshield got worse as I drove. It wasn't long before my focus was on the windshield and how my wipers were doing. Then suddenly I realized I was about to rear end the back of a big semi-truck and trailer." Whenever we are preoccupied with secondary things, we risk misplacing our focus. In a culture of hectic schedules and relentless pursuit of productivity, we are tempted to measure our worth by how busy we are, how much we accomplish, or by how well we meet the expectations of others. We want to provide for our families. We want to give our children every opportunity to enrich their lives, serve our neighbors, and yes, we want to serve the Lord. Both listening and doing, receiving God's word and serving others are vital parts of our lives, just as inhaling and exhaling are to breathing. Focus on the balance. Be single-minded. I'm now just coming closer to the end, but Jim Rohn has a book. It's called Focus on One Thing, Habits of Healthy Time. And if you take home this is important. Don't major in minor things. I am so guilty of that. Don't major in minor things. If you take up major time to do minor things, you will always be behind the curve constantly. So figure out what's major time and what's minor time. And if you're spending 90% of your time on minor stuff, I'll get all my minor stuff out of the way so I can get at my big stuff. And 10% on the major, you will be frustrated all the time. And the other good thing that he says that I want to leave you with too is don't mistake movement for achievement. Don't mistake movement for achievement. I've been going and going. Okay, doing what? Someone asked me yesterday in the heat wave, what did you do? Because I had all kinds of plans. I couldn't actually remember. I just remembered it was hot and I was sort of puttering around. Some people are going and going, and they are doing figure eights, and their progress is small. Don't mistake movement for achievement. Bear with me just a few more minutes, 2 minutes on my sermon. Christ gently reminds Martha that Martha is the other part because actions, even acts of Christian charity and hospitality, if they are to be sustained, always follow being. That is, what we do flows naturally from who we are. Jesus is shelter from our worries and anxieties, a way of knowing that whatever we face, we can gather under the shade of his words that affirm us, hold us, calm us, and we can gather in community in the circle of friendships and care that encourage us that we are not alone in this. When I grew up in a family, there were 3 of us children. We were very close. Many times our household expanded to include cousins and grandparents, aunts and uncles from the U.S. And what I noticed, they would gather at our family cottage, and my grandma and my mom never stopped in the kitchen. They were all doing the great rest, and they never stopped working. And I remember just feeling sad, but I didn't really know what to do with it. And my dad was always fixing, cutting the grass, get the boat ready, take them out, take it in. And then one time, we went on a vacation, and it was only about 4 days, so I don't know why it stands out, but what I remember being blown away was Mom didn't prepare any meals. Dad didn't have to fix anything. They just felt more present to the fun we were having, to our togetherness, the time together, seemed to me to stand out in my memory. So maybe when we look at our own life and reflect on that, we will just pause to say, am I trying to do too many things in a moment? That's pressure that Jesus doesn't put on me, but to do what I am called to do and do it well and to focus. And I'll close with Barbara Brown Taylor in The Altar of the World, who remembers Brother Lawrence praising God while peeling potatoes and making pancakes. And she was surprised by readers accepting her when she had to confess that she has a problem with confessional prayer. When people ask me about my prayer life, and she's a famous preacher all over the world, she says, I feel like a bulimic must feel when people ask her about her favorite dish. She learned in seminary, as we all learn, about what prayer is: adoration, praise, thanksgiving, penitence, oblation, intercession, petition. However, she came to a new notion of prayer from a Benedictine monk who says a part of prayer is to wake up. Prayer is waking up to God. So she says, when I am fully alert to whatever or whoever is right in front of me, when I am electrically aware of the tremendous gift of being alive, when I am able to give myself wholly to the moment, I am in prayer. Brother David told her once that even biting into a tomato that you are rejoicing and savoring is a kind of prayer. You cannot watch the sun come up, cradle an infant in your arms, feel a catch in your breath. As you listen to a symphony, you cannot ponder the grace of a friend, the forgiveness of one you offended, the touch of a beloved's hand, without being in prayer. Martha in the kitchen as well as Mary at Jesus' feet were in a place where God is present and prayer happens. Let us pause in the coming weeks to sit at the feet of Jesus, drink in the quiet of the beauty of nature and the lessons it teaches. Let us think about whether it's hard to focus and still our many thoughts find discernment about what matters in this moment. And I want to leave you with the last slide, which is a colored pencil drawing of Martha and Mary. We'll keep going through. Make a little bit of fast pacing here. Next one. I think it's the last one. I love this drawing to leave you with by artist Laurie Parker. And what you'll notice is how closely connected Mary and Martha are. Because this artist understood they're both good disciples. They both care about service and hospitality, doing the Lord's work. But they also know they cannot do it unless they open their heart and their soul in contemplation to the Lord. Amen.